Hi guys, today we were looking at a number of decks that I have in my collection. About a month ago I released a video that showed you how my decks excel, as in how they work within a spreadsheet, and gave you some interesting information about that. And I sought some feedback around how you might like to see my deck collection, because with the number of decks that I have, I found it absolutely huge to be able to put it into one video. So I was trying to work out what worked well and what doesn't, and how I may be able to utilize the cards so that you can actually get a better idea of how I use them. So what I've decided today is I've decided to go with the number of decks that I have the least amount of in a particular category of how I use them, and that is decks that I use when I'm time poor. So what that means for me is that I use them when my time is limited, when I don't have a lot of ability to actually sit down and spend time with them. Now, the reason I've chosen these decks over the years is because they're either decks that I've used repeatedly and I understand really quickly, so when I use them, the message that comes through is really loud and clear. It might be that the cards themselves, when I'm using them, have a lot of information on them, and therefore the message is very easily understood. It might be that it might be that the cards offer a single word or a phrase that I can springboard off, and I don't need to definitely go any deeper. Now, I do use these cards for other practices, and when I'm talking about those and making videos about the card decks I use for meditation or my altar work or my shadow work, these decks may come up again, but I'll talk about them in a different way pertaining to the actual process that we're talking about then. So right now we're talking about time poor, and as I show you each card deck, I'll explain why I've chosen it, how it works for me, and hopefully that will help inform you on decks that you might particularly like for those times when you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to maintain your practice and you still want to work with oracle decks. So I have noted when I've collected them that I think every single one of these decks is an oracle deck, which wasn't what I anticipated. There is 29 of them, so we'll have a look through them, and here we go now. So in no particular order, we will look at the Super Attractor cards by Gabrielle Bernstein, and the artwork is by Michaela Ezra. Now, these are cards that I've had in my collection for quite some time. They came to me because I was doing a lot of work around affirmations and trying to up-level my thinking. I found them to be a really great deck. I love the simplicity of the backs of them, which is really good. I like the fact that they, can be read either way, even though when you turn them over, the messages are meant for one way. I love the colors in them. To me, they're just really appealing. Initially, they weren't appealing. I don't quite know why. I didn't really pick up on their energy as much as I thought I would when I initially bought them. But having used them and continued to look at them and find ways to incorporate them into my practices, I've found that they're absolutely a really worthwhile deck. So some of the ways that I do use them when I'm time poor is I will just shuffle them and I will pull a card, and that will give me the message that I need at that particular point in time. Sometimes I will ask a question, sometimes I won't. More often than not, I won't do that. I do read the message as it comes. So this one obviously says, when I truly surrender my desires to the universe, a mighty force of faith can set in. Now, these aren't meant to be read upside down or reversed, but if this card was to come this way for me when I was pulling it out for my daily card, I would see that when I surrender my desires to the universe, a mighty force of faith can set in. I would see this as a blockage, that I'm not actually surrendering and it's something that I need to do. That's just the way I like to read the cards, and it's not necessarily the way that they're set for. So again, here we have directing my focus onto what's thriving creates more of what I want. And again, if I receive the card upside down or reversed, I would see that I'm not directing my focus on what I want, and therefore I'm not creating more of what I want. So I would see that as a blockage. So that is a way that I use these cards that they're not necessarily designed for, but it is something that I find is very accurate. It is very easy, and it's fantastic when you want a simple message and you don't have a lot of time to be able to have that delivered to you. So the second deck we'll look at today is the Dreamtime for Spiritual Guidance Oracle cards by Marie Louise Bayliss. Now, these are a limited edition. They are ones that I had on pre-order. I had waited quite a long time to get them, and I have to say that even though I was a bit disappointed at the length of time it took for them to arrive at my doorstep, I was really taken with them when they did get here. So they have these lovely back images on them, which I really adore, and when you turn them over, they have these lovely messages. Now, the artwork is Indigenous in design, obviously being the Dreamtime, and they have lovely messages. So this one is, I am happy when I allow myself to recognize the negative people who are not serving my happiness, my natural flow, and rhythm returns, I am peaceful again. So they're really simple messages, and why I like them when I'm time poor is, again, I can just shuffle them, I can pull out a card, and that will give me the message that I need. And there you go, guys, I got the exact same one. I am happy when I allow myself to recognize the negative people who are not serving my happiness. My natural flow and rhythm returns, I am peaceful again. So really simple message, really straightforward, and easy to work with and incorporate into your day or your week, whatever it is that you're doing your quick reading for. So the next deck that I like to use when I'm time poor is the Children's Spirit Animal cards. Now, even though these say they're Children's Spirit Animal cards, I absolutely love them, and they are something that I gravitate towards. The images are absolutely stunning, really beautiful. So again, the reason why I use them when I'm time poor is that they are just really easy to work with. I will often just pull a card and it says butterfly, big changes are happening. So that to me says everything. I don't need to know anymore. So when I'm rushed about and I just want to be able to set myself up for the day and have a message on the energy or what might be there in front of me, I love the fact that that's what comes up really simple. And it doesn't matter which card that you pull. This one is the fox, surprise others with favors. And then if I was to pull another one, again, it's the wolf, you are safe and protected. And the fourth one, cougar, you can do it. So they're really simple messages, really straightforward, which is why most of these decks have been chosen to be used when they're time poor, because they are very on point and they don't beat around the bush. But I do use these cards in other readings because they can add a different level. So the next ones I have that I use when I'm time for is Ask Your Guides Oracle cards by Sonia Choquette. These are ones that I've had for a really, really long time. They are ones that I do use quite regularly and I have a real solid relationship with. So what I like about these is, again, you can just pull a card, and this one, it has come out reversed, partnerships and love, nature spirits. It was reversed, so this tells me that I really need to focus on my partnerships and love, and by doing that I can call on the nature spirits. So other ones that we have here is business and Venus. This shows me that I need to put a little bit more love into the business transactions that I have and not make them so methodical. That's how I would read that, and I love the way that comes about. And then we have here restriction and joy guides. So this tells me that in moments of my life where I'm feeling restricted, I really need to, you know, settle down a bit and be guided by the joy, so that I can unlock the things that are keeping me restricted. So I really like these cards because they are quite easy to understand. They're quite upbeat. They're lovely colours. Now this is Daily Guidance from Your Angels Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. Now I have a lot of Doreen Virtue's cards. I've had them for a really long time, starting back in the early 2000s, if not prior for some of them. These were the first cards that I have ever had. Well, Doreen Virtue cards are some of the first cards that I've ever had. As you can see, the gold edging is definitely a little bit worse for wear on the edges because I have used them repeatedly. I really like these cards because when you use them, they have really solid messages that are easily understood and don't need any more than one card. So here you have reward yourself. You've been giving a lot of yourself lately and it's time for you to receive. Make the time to reward yourself in a meaningful way. This balance of giving and receiving is essential to keeping your energy, mood and motivation at a consistently high level. So these are absolutely fantastic cards for being able to get a strong message in one card delivered to you. They are easy to springboard off and to incorporate into your day or your week or your month, whatever it is that you're reading it for. But I think what it does is it gives you a real sense of what's going on for you and how you can work it to your advantage. So absolutely lovely cards. They are a little bit more difficult to get these days. You can buy them online, I'll be really honest with you. A lot of the Doreen Virtue decks are available online, but when you look closely, they're actually pirated or fake editions. And I really don't encourage people to buy them that way. It's not good for the creator or for the industry itself. I really try to support people who are creating things and the industry that we are a part of. So you can get these. A lot of groups online have secondhand cards and you'll see them repeatedly being offered. Some people resonate with them really well, some people don't. Some people don't like to have the Doreen Virtue ones in their collection anymore, and that's absolutely their choice. I love them and I continue to use them in the way that I always have. So the next ones that we have is another Doreen Virtue deck. It's Messages from Your Angels. And again, this is a deck that I've had for a really long time. You can see that it's definitely had its use. The edges are a bit, bit well worn, but it is a real staple in my collection, and it gives really great messaging. So here we have Vanessa. To make your decision, ask yourself, which way brings me closer to the divine purpose? Which way takes me away from it? We have here Mystique. Keep charging ahead and don't take no for an answer. Expect miraculous solutions to appear. And just for a third one, here we have Bethany. When you take excellent care of yourself, everybody benefits. Give yourself a relaxing treat today, such as a massage, sea salt bath, or pedicure. So as you can see, the messages on these are really clear, easy to understand, really loving messages, which I think is fantastic. Again, they are messages that you can, delve into them as much as you like. One card will give you enough information to be able to go about your day and to be able to make a difference. So as you can see, all of these decks actually come with books, and I haven't shown you them before. When you do your one card reading, you can read the book if you like. It's not something that I usually do when I'm time poor. I don't usually call upon the book. I just pull out the card and go from there. So the next one that I have is the Cosmic Dancer Oracle by Sedona Soulfire and Tess Whitehurst. Now this is a lovely deck. I absolutely love the purple colouring to it. It's really interesting. You have this lovely book if you want to go deeper. But what I like about it is I like the fact that when I use this deck, it has a simple word. So here we have devote. So if I was looking for a way forward with my day or an energy that I wanted to work with, I would pull this. It says master the dance, and I'd interpret these cards how they come to me at the time of pulling them. So each time it might be different. Give and receive. I might be having a really bad day, and this might tell me that, you know what, I actually have to be able to give to receive. This one here, Sparkle and Shine, it may tell me that, I'm in a dull moment and I really need to spice myself up a bit and make that sparkle and shine come to my life. So clear the vessel, honor the process, create sacred space, consciously complete, and offer. So these cards tell me a single word or two that really gets me thinking about my day, gets me thinking about how I can action them and actually put it into what I'm working with, what I'm doing, whatever's happening in my space at this time, which I think is really good. And I found that to be really on point. And I love the fact that it's just a word or two, sometimes three, that it gives you, because it gives me enough to work with without giving me a paragraph or information that actually starts to confine what it is that I should be interpreting it as. So the next one I have is the Goddess Love Oracle by Wendy Andrews. Again, fantastic guidebook here if you like to use them. But remember, I'm showing you these because I use them when I'm time poor. So that means I need to get the best I can out of the cards for the littlest effort, because I don't have a lot of time to sit down and really enjoy them and work deeper with them. These cards are all fabulous for working deeper, but for this purpose, we're just using them when we're time poor. So here we have Lakshmi, flow, let Goddess blessings enrich your life. We have generosity, be the divine flow of Goddess nature. This one's upside down, so I would read it upside down. Shine, hold your head high. This might tell me upside down that, you know what, I'm probably putting too much focus on the fact that, I'm in people's faces and I'm making sure that they notice me, and maybe I can tone it down a bit. Here we have protection, Goddess has your back. We have radiance, rejoice in your life. We have companionship, you are not alone. Absolutely beautiful cards. Again, peace, open your heart. This might tell me that, it was upside down again. So peace, open your heart might tell me that I'm too giving. It might tell me that I actually need to look at where my heart is and make sure that I am at peace with that. This, for me, signifies that I may be too open, I may be too generous. Creativity, seize the day. Safety, you are held. And nurturance, restore your balance. So again, really great messages that you can use to springboard off very quickly to get on with your day or whatever it is that you're doing. So the next one that I have is Trust Your Vibes Oracle Cards, again by Sonia Choquette. Now I hope you're really enjoying the way that I'm showing these to you. Please let me know if you are or you aren't. That way I can try and tailor the next videos to more information. So as I said earlier, some of these decks you will see again because I will show them when I'm talking about which ones I use for journaling or readings or contemplation or shadow work, that kind of thing. I'm trying to tell you why I use these for time poor moments so that you can appreciate how they may benefit you in those kind of situations as well. So anyway, this is the Trust Your Vibes Oracle cards, and as you can see, again, it has a guidebook. I don't use the guidebooks when I'm time poor. It's something that I don't look into at all. So they have these lovely backs, and then we have these images on the front. Now this to me has a deeper energy to it. It's a little bit more introverted for me personally. It makes me look inwards a bit more when I'm using it. So I love to use this when I'm time poor and I'm feeling that, you know, maybe things are on top of me and I need to look within to be able to establish what's going on. So as you can see, talk shop. That tells me that when I get with people, I actually need to talk about what it is that we're working on doing, thinking about, that kind of thing. You have here, claim your boundaries. This tells me that I definitely need to be aware of my energy and what I'm putting out there and what I'm allowing into my life. Call on your joy guides. This tells me that I need to be able to reach out and know that joy is there for me. I just have to ask for help and support in that area. Cloak yourself in light. This to me symbolizes that I need protection. I need to be able to white light myself and make sure that my energy is being housed in a higher vibration than what might be around me. Do what you love, definitely a way forward to be able to make the choices throughout the day that I need to make and to do what I love. Play tells me that I need to, you know, be a little less serious in my day, that I need to be able to appreciate what's around me and, you know, lean into it. Feed your spirit. So this to me is making sure that I do recognize my soulful voice and that I do listen to it and that I'm able to nourish it in the things that I do. Be grateful. Fantastic reminder as always to make sure that you are grateful for what's going on in your life. I don't think you can ever be grateful enough, and I think it's always great to be reminded that, you know, by being grateful our life improves, and it's a fantastic way forward. So here we have exercise your vibes. That's making sure you're looking after yourself. It's a team effort. Really great reminder that we can't do it alone. Make a note of it. This tells me that I need to be aware and I need to potentially come back to something and listen to your heart. I love this. Your heart speaking to you. So there you can see this deck is fantastic for me personally when I'm time poor. It gives me another way of looking at things and gives me a message on how I may be able to use that within my day. Denise Lynn, Sacred Traveler Oracle cards. Absolutely adore Denise Lynn and her cards. These ones, again, I just love the purple colour. It's very spiritual to me. It really connects with my soul and my heart. These are great messages. The Sacred Traveler is something that I really, really adore. So when we get here and we turn it over, upside down again, guys. These cards are not meant to be read upside down. I follow my intuition, so sometimes I will read the message upside down and sometimes I won't. So fellow travelers, support is all around you. That tells me that whatever I'm doing, the journey that I'm on, there are people there supporting me. Upside down, not so much. I would assume that the journey that I'm on might be a lonely one and that I'm struggling with being able to find the support that I need. Oops, another one's upside down again. So this one here, surrendering to the journey, release control. This tells me that I need to be able to acknowledge that I can't control everything, that sometimes we just have to go with the flow, which is symbolized by the boat here. Upside down, I would see this as telling me that I don't necessarily need to release control, but I need to be mindful of control and how I'm actually handling that in the journey that I'm taking. Valiant courage, take action with passion. This tells me to go on and gallop in there and make sure that I get done what I need to get done. This one here, protected by angels, you are cherished by angels. I think this is just a loving reminder that there's always somebody watching over you and that you are cherished and you are valuable. And I absolutely love that. And the angel's face is just, it's glowing, and I really appreciate that. Answering the call, the time is now. She's stepping through a doorway, tells me that, you know what, step on it, get out there, cross that threshold and start doing what needs to be done right now. There's no time but the present. Rainbow blessings. Blessings are showering your life. This tells me that no matter where I look, there's always something new, something fresh, something vibrant happening in my life, and I am totally blessed, which I absolutely love. Transformation, a fresh new way of living emerges. This tells me that I'm going to be able to lift myself up and fly in a new direction, and that transformation will be uplifting. Views from above, get the big picture. So this tells me that I need to stop looking at the finer detail, and I need to be able to look at things from above and know what's going on. To me, it's always interesting the difference that you get in the view that you're having, whether you decide to be micromanaging and, you know, write down on the finer details, or whether you prefer to have a look at the overall view and see what's going on and how you can improve things. Traveling lightly, simplify your life. This is telling me that there's too much going on. I really need to look at what's happening in my life or my day or my week, and I need to be able to simplify that down so that I focus on the things that have the most meaning and that really need to be addressed at that time. So this to me is a beautiful deck. It's one of my favorites that I like to use when I'm time poor, and it has so much meaning for me personally. So the next one we will look at is The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. Again, like the other Gabrielle Bernstein Super Attractor deck, this is a deck that is very wordy for me. It's not one that I really gravitate to too much, but when I do, it really seems to work. So when I'm choosing a deck when I'm time poor, or choosing a deck at any time, to be honest, I find that I tend to be guided by whatever jumps out at me and whatever feels right at the time. So sometimes I will have a feeling that, yep, that's the right deck for me, and I will pick up a deck. Other times I will just I will gravitate towards a different deck and think that's, you know, the one that I want because I'm choosing by my mind or whatever, and then I keep being called and pulled to another deck. And this is one of those decks that I seem to be called and pulled to more often than not. It isn't a deck that I would pick consciously to read with, but it is one that adds value to my readings. So again, it is a deck that I use upright and reverse. It's only designed to be used upright, but it's up to you whether you choose to use it reversed. It is something you can or may not choose to do, and whichever way you go about it is absolutely fine. So this one here says, my capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. So obviously this one here is a really great message. If it was upside down, then I would be looking at the fact that I'm not tuning into the energy of love, that I'm not finding the words that I need, that maybe I've lost compassion and the power to be able to give my message and to use my voice. So this one's upside down, so we'll read it this way first. I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself I am love and miracles are natural. So having received this one upside down, I would be looking and going, okay, I'm being really pessimistic, I'm being very negative, I'm not having mindful moments, everything that I'm thinking is more on the negative side. So this would remind me that I actually need to flip it, and I need to create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself I am love and miracles are natural. So this deck must be upside down, guys, but that's the way that it is. This one here, attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation merely calls for help. This is telling me that what I'm feeling and what I'm going through means that I need help, and that's okay. It doesn't matter what it is. I just need to be able to relook at it and call for help. So when it's reversed, this is telling me that I'm not looking for help. I'm shutting myself down, and I'm not actually opening myself up to the possibilities of finding help from anybody, which isn't really a good thing. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. This to me is really beautiful. It reminds me that I have a choice, that I when I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. So the choice that I have is how I actually see the world. I choose to learn through love. This way is telling me that love is the way forward. If I was to receive the card this way, I would see that I choose to learn through love. That to me is telling me that, you know, I'm shutting off my heart. I'm shutting off the way forward, that I'm not utilizing and recognizing that, you know, I can choose the way I learn and that love is that way. Instead, I'm being very closed-minded. The moment I embrace my peace within and surrender the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. What a great message that one is. So that's saying that, you know, the minute I surrender and I let be what needs to be, that the universe can actually work for me in a good manner. If it was upside down, I would see that, you know what, I'm actually holding on too much. I'm trying to control the outcome, and therefore the universe is unable to flow. In any moment, I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. Again, it's reminding me that I have a choice, and that choice can lead to some wonderful things. So obviously for me, if it was upside down, in any moment I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. That tells me that I'm blocking that I'm not using these things, and that I'm not surrendering to the presence of love, prayer, or contemplation, that I'm probably pushing them out of my life rather than trying to be inclusive and having them within my life. I choose love no matter what, I think is a beautiful message. And obviously, if it was upside down, I would be making sure that my heart was shut off and that I wasn't doing that. And it would be a powerful reminder to actually take a step back and open up my heart. When I think I've surrendered, I surrender more. What a beautiful message. So again, when I think I've surrendered more, tells me that there's always more you can do. There's always something that you can increase and improve upon. And I absolutely love that. So the next ones that I have that I use when I'm time poor is the Self-Love Oracle by Akal Pritman. These are absolutely gorgeous cards. They are based around the chakra system, so they're a little bit different to the other ones, and therefore I use them in a different way. All of the backs are different colors based on which chakra they refer to, and then the fronts are like this. So what I normally do when I'm time poor is I would shuffle them. I usually close my eyes so that I can't see the color of the back of the card, because I know which chakra they relate to. So I would shuffle them, and then I would just pull out a card. And as you can see here with this one, the gift of command, throat chakra, this would tell me that I need to use my voice and that I can use it to command what I would like to get out of my day. So obviously I need to work on that, and that's why that would be coming up for me. I'm very mindful of the fact that the gift of command has a lot of power, and that in the way that I wield the voice, I would be very mindful of that and the impact that it would have. Here we have a ritual honoring cycles, the root chakra. So this to me is telling me the root chakra is obviously at the base of my spine. So it's telling me that I need to honor the foundations and things that are going on in my life, and make sure that I actually acknowledge them and bring them into the forefront of what's happening. Ritual grounding, crown chakra. So this is reminding me that even though I would like my crown chakra open to the universe, I need to be grounded in the way that I approach that, and in my dealings with people and things throughout the day. Soul, and joy, heart chakra. This is telling me that I need to get in line with my heart, and I need to be able to see joy in what's happening throughout the day. Star, good fortune. I love this card because to me it's just about having good fortune and knowing that my chakra systems is in alignment. And the last one, the gift of strength, the solar plexus. This is telling me that if I stand my ground, that I will be able to have the gift of strength to move forward. So obviously when I use these, when I'm time poor, the way that I read them is very different to the way that I would read them if I was doing a more in-depth reading. And that's due to the fact that there are so many levels and layers within these cards that can be acknowledged. So the next ones I have is the Universal Wisdom cards by Tony Carmine Salerno. Now again, really great guidebook. So I've had these for a really long time. They are cards that I really enjoy using, and what I do when I'm time poor is I would just pull a card, and this one says abundance, and I would be able to see that, you know, she's standing on the world, she's very rooted, and abundance is flowing around her, and I would see that that would be what I could access throughout the day or the week. This one is intention. This would tell me that I needed to be mindful of my intentions and what I was sending out into the world, and how I was actually using them to make sure that, you know, I am intending for the right reason, that I am intending in a positive manner, and that my intentions are pure of heart. Purity, this is telling me that I would have to be mindful throughout my day of the purity of my thoughts, my actions, my feelings, to make sure that they are being done in a manner that is actually pure, and not in a manner that is trying to gain something from them. Rest, this would tell me that I needed to rest, I needed to pause and stop before I made big decisions or did anything in my way forward. This would tell me that I'm dreaming of joy. So for me, this is about making sure that when I'm looking to the future, that I am looking for joy, and that I am finding ways that I can incorporate it in there, and being okay with that. This is Earth Song. So for me, this would remind me to get back to Mother Nature, to be one with nature, to listen to the rhythm and hum of the seasons, the animals, the flow of the earth, and to be able to be guided by that. And return to silence, that would tell me if I was doing it as a time poor reading, that I needed to slow down, and I needed to appreciate the silence around me, that I don't need to be go, go, go. I don't need to be constantly listening to something, being involved in something, being immersed in something, that I can actually just sit in the silence and appreciate what comes from that. The Into the Lonely Woods is another deck that I use for time poor purposes. Again, this is a really involved, deep deck. It has a beautiful guidebook that goes with it. They are beautiful cards that provoke in me a real sense of depth and meaning, and that translates through when I use them for time poor periods. Message of the day. So the death moves amongst us. This tells me that something's coming to an end. It doesn't necessarily mean a death as one would first imagine, but it's something's coming to an end, that we're going to see the finalization of something, and that, you know, it's there and it's okay. Drink from your own well, water your own garden. This one here reminds me that I need to look after myself before I can look after anybody else, and that it's really important that I do that. And yet the path grows lighter. So this is telling me that as things move on, things are going to get easier, that I'm not going to have to struggle as much, that there is a way forward, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Your presence is a gift to others. I love this. This tells me that, you know, no matter how I'm feeling, this is a very introverted card for me, that no matter how I'm feeling, my presence is a gift to others, and they do appreciate it even more than I might necessarily know or understand at any given time, which I think is fantastic. Find your night self. So to me, if I was using this as a time poor reading, find your night self would be about finding the way forward during the evening that fits with me. So finding a rhythm and a hum that will actually fit my night schedule, and how that's going to support my self-care. The fortunate companion, this tells me that the energy and the companionship that I have around me is quite fortunate. It is something that is of value to me, both in what I can provide to somebody else and what they can provide to me. And it's a mutual understanding and exchange, which I really love. So to me, these are really great cards to use for a quick reading, to get a message and an understanding of what might be there for me during the day, the week, the month, however I might like to use them. So next is the Self-Care Wisdom cards by Cheryl Richardson. Now, I absolutely love these cards. These are wisdom cards. They're not oracle cards. They're not tarot cards. But they are a deck that I come to repeatedly. Now, as you can see, one side of the cards has writing, and the other sides, oops, we've got some that also have writing. The other side of the cards have a picture. So what I find when I'm using these is I don't put them all the one way, obviously, because they're not that way. What I find when I use them is I usually shut my eyes when I shuffle them, and I will just pull a card. If we go here, we have body, and I absolutely love this one. Your body deserves your love. And I think that's a beautiful reminder that, you know, your body is your vessel. It is what carries you around. It is what is with you 24/7 while you're on this earth. It is the thing that holds you all together, and you need to appreciate your body, and your body does deserve love. And I think that's a really fantastic reminder. Here we have beauty. Today you are Start again, Karen. Today you are a curator of beauty. You are blessed with moments that let you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that all is well in the world. So I really love this. And to me, this reminds me that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And we really need to look at what's around us and the moments that we're experiencing and the people we're interacting with and find those beautiful moments within. A long walk is good for the soul. Get outside and allow Mother Nature to lift your spirits. What a beautiful message. So move. This is telling me get out there, move, be amongst Mother Nature, really listen to her rhythms and her hum, get a feel for her touches, her wind blows past your face, and really get in touch with nature. It is absolutely soul lifting. Closed door is an invitation from life to move in an even better direction. It's time to change course. Really clear message, change course. You've got a door and you've got lots of keys, so you've got lots of choices. So this is reminding me that, you know, just because something in my life may be closed off and no longer available to me, that I do have choices, and there's many directions that I can choose to go in. And again, it's all about choice and actually taking the time to make that choice. It's time to celebrate the fact that you don't fit in. Stand on your own 2 feet. Rebel. So this to me, I mean, it says rebel, it says stand on your own 2 feet. I think this is more about rebelling against yourself, you know, and your desire to fit in and have people love you. I think that it's a really important message, and I really like that. And I think that's something you can apply to your day or your week moving forward really easily. Surprise! Release your expectations and open to surprise. So again, this is reminding us that we have a choice. We need to release what it is that we think we should be experiencing, we should be getting, we should be having, and we could be extremely surprised by what we actually get. So it's always a fantastic thing. Invitation, calm, love, beauty, kindness, hope, joy, fun, adventure. This one here says the words you speak are an invitation to life, a request to bring energy into form. Choose your words carefully. Now, I cannot stress this enough. If I pulled this card, it would definitely be a slap in the face to say, Karen, you need to be aware of the words that you're saying, the things that you're thinking, and the phrases that you're using. It's really important that the language that we use, not only verbally out loud, but also in our head and in the way we write, is positive, that it is uplifting, that it is a step forward. And we really need to be mindful because the words we use are choosing our reality. Self, beautiful card here. If beating yourself up worked, you'd be thin, rich, and happy. Try loving yourself instead. Whoa, what a beautiful card to get after the last one. Again, it's all about the way we think, feel, and act. So if we think of ourselves as valued, if we think of ourselves as you know, beautiful, as worthy, then we wouldn't be beating ourselves up, and we would be able to see the positiveness, because the more we appreciate ourselves and appreciate the things around us, the more we have to appreciate, and it's a beautiful way to live. Security. So obviously here we have security. True security comes from having a reserve of time, space, energy, personal power, and love. Make decisions in all of these accounts and you'll be a wealthy person indeed. So I really love this message. I think it's really good. We've got lots of different ways that we can deposit into our time, space, energy, personal power, and love to make secure deposits so that we can move forward. And the last one that we have is needs. So do you need more time to yourself, a break from thinking too much, a kind encounter with a friend? Your needs matter and it's time to honour them. So again, if you were to get this as a time poor message, it certainly links in straight away with what it is that you need, okay? You need to be aware of your needs, and you need to be aware of what it is that you need and make sure that you find time to honour that. So this to me is another one of the decks that I absolutely love to use when I'm time poor. I love to use it also when I'm time poor and I'm kind of feeling down in the dumps. I think it's a great reminder of how I can look after myself and use self-care in my days. So the next one that we have, this is actually getting to be really longer than I thought it was going to be, guys. So I'll try and speed that up a bit. So I do apologise, but I hope the information that I'm giving you and the way that I'm trying to explain how I use the cards and how they work for me in a time poor environment is of benefit to you. So please let me know if it's working, so that in future I know whether you're interested in the kind of things that I've got to say, or whether you just want to see, you know, 3 or 4 cards from the decks that I use for each particular area, whether it be journaling, time pour, or whatever. So these ones here are the Universal Love Healing Oracle cards by Tony Carmine Solano. Again, they're a deck that I've had for quite some time, and they are absolutely beautiful. I will just choose a few to explain to you. So abundance, obviously if I was to get this in a time pour situation and I just pulled a card for the day, abundance would tell me that there's so much out there for me and I just need to be aware and embrace it. Creativity, this would tell me that maybe I need to look at things in my day in a slightly different way and be more creative about what I am doing and what outcomes I expect to receive. So earth connection, this would tell me to get out into nature, to be aware of the rhythms and the hum of what's going on, and to make that connection in what I'm doing and how it's not only affecting me, but affecting the earth and the world that I live in. Sacred union would tell me that I need to be mindful of the time that I spend with my significant other and how I'm doing that. The goddess would tell me to step into my power, that I really needed to acknowledge that and be in that power in this day. Retreat would tell me that maybe there's a time during my day that I actually need to step back and let somebody else shine, that I need to go within and look at maybe some of the things that I'm thinking, the choices that I'm making, or my way forward. Expectancy is telling me that it's going to be an exciting day, that there's a lot going to happen and that there's going to be that element of expectancy there. Healing sounds tells me that if I'm feeling stressed or anything, I can turn to things like nature, I can turn to music, I can turn to the things that I can hear around me that can help soothe my soul. Enchantment. This one tells me that I need to make sure that whatever happening, I'm not finding myself enchanted by it, that I can't actually see the wood for the trees. It's good to be enchanted, but to make sure that it's in a positive way. Forgiveness, a really good one, a really hard one sometimes to be able to do, but we always need to remember that forgiveness is for ourselves. Relationships, this would tell me to look at my significant relationships or any relationships that I come across during the day and how I'm interacting with them, whether I'm adding value to them, whether they're holding me back or I'm holding them back, whether they're helping to improve and let my life fly. So there's some of the ways that I would use these cards to be able to choose as a time pour reading. So the next ones I have is Healing with the Fairies Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. Again, cards I've had for a really long time. Sexuality, that would have me looking at my life and how I interact with people, my flow of energy, whether it be masculine or feminine, that kind of thing I would be aware of during the day. Look inside yourself. Obviously, if I was to pull that in the time pour environment and need to get a quick message from that, it would be that when I'm interacting with other people or I'm looking for answers or something, to look inside myself, that I have everything that I need and I need to be aware of it. Creative expression, making sure that, life's not dull, that I do look at my creative side and how I express that. Family harmony, making sure that, whatever's going on in my life, there is family harmony, and looking to see if there is any discord, how that may be able to be worked out and looked at. I think that's really important and powerful. Environmental awareness, I think in today's day and age, I don't think we can ever be environmentally aware too much, so that would have me making sure that I was aware of the choices that I was making and how they were impacting on the life around me. This one here, happily ever after, that tells me that whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm experiencing today, there is a happy ending, that it will come to a successful conclusion. And this one, awakening your true self, so that's making sure that I am aware and awake of what I am doing and how I'm doing it, and that I'm being authentic in my dealings with other people. That to me is really important. So they're the kind of quick messages that I get and the way that I would use these cards in a time pour environment. I haven't even got halfway through them, guys. The 29 decks that I use, so I really apologise. Archangel Oracle cards, again another Doreen Virtue card. She's really good at putting messages on the cards as well as a phrase that you need to be aware of. So here we have Peace, Archangel Camille. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. Compassion, Archangel Zakiel, soften your heart with respect to this situation and all the people involved, including yourself. So I think these are really good messages that you can take on your day and you can definitely learn from. Divine Order, Archangel Raguel, everything is how it needs to be right now. Look past the illusion and see underlying order. Career transition, Archangel Camille, your life purpose is triggering a blessed career change. Patience, Archangel Jophiel, your dreams are blooming more rapidly than you realize, still they need nurturing and patience. Beloved one, Archangel Camille, I'm helping you with the spiritual soulmate relationship. So there are different archangels in here. This is Archangel Michael. Remember who you are. You're a powerful, loving and creative child of God. You are very loved. I think that the messages the archangels bring you as a time poor message, as in a quick and easy thing to decipher, is really great. We have the Earthcraft Oracle that I use when I'm time poor. Use the word time poor. I keep saying it. I'm just thinking that's probably not a great word to use. I use time poor because it means that I don't have a lot of time to be able to sit and do an in-depth reading. But I do find that some of these single card reads are just as on point, and they give me the exact depth that I need, which is great. Okay, so this is River Woman. So this would tell me that I need to be aware of what I'm pouring into the rivers that I'm part of, so that the communities that I'm part of, and making sure that, you know, what I'm pouring out into my community is actually beneficial and isn't harming. This one's upside down. So this is Spirit Weaver. This is telling me that I need to be aware of the energy that I'm putting out and how that's actually affecting the world around me, and making sure that it's a positive influence for me personally. Obviously, these cards are a little bit more for a one-card reading. You do have the beautiful guidebook that goes with it for a more in-depth reading. But if I'm using these as a simple, what do I take out of the cards when I pull it, these are the messages that I get. And that's today. And if I pull it out on a different day, I might get a completely different message. Spirit of the South. So this is telling me that I really need to be aware of where my energy is coming from, how it's flowing, and making sure that it is in the spirit of the South, so that it is down to earth, it is grounded, and it is the way that I need it to be. Spirit of the West. This one here is telling me that, you know, I need to be aware of the energies of the planets and the moon and the clouds, and making sure that it's in alignment with the cosmos. It's Gatherer. This is telling me that there's going to be a gathering, or there needs to be a gathering. It tells me that when I'm gathering the resources and things that I need, that it is all there, that is my purpose, and that I will do it successfully. Thunderstorm. This is telling me that life is going to get interesting. It's going to be full of moments. My day is going to be full of moments that are quite energetic, moments that are quite challenging, moments that could potentially scare me and bring a lot of heightened energy to the day. But a thunderstorm, you know, after the thunderstorm, there's always the beauty of renewal, which I love. So it's telling me that there's a build-up of energy, there's a build-up of chaos, and that it will be released, and that once it's released, things should be okay. So the next deck that I have is the Circles of Healing by Alana Fairchild. Now these are beautiful cards. They're quite simply easy to use. They're round because they're mandalas. They have this beautiful back, and then they have the different mandalas on the front. And again, it's just about choosing a mandala, looking at the message, and these read around the side. So this one says, I surrender wholly and completely into profound renewal and multi-dimensional healing, trusting in the magnificent grace that guides my soul. So if I was to pull this card, I would read it and I would feel into what that meant for me. Often I would look at the mandalas and see what I get out of that, to see how it may relate to me. So we'll turn some more over. Answered prayer, 1111. This is telling me that whatever it is that I'm thinking about, worried about, concerned about, needing an answer to, I get my answered prayer. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's in the way that I've envisaged or what I want. It just means that there will be an answer. This one here says, with patience and hope, silver shield blesses the soul with the wisdom of winter, stillness and rest for sacred inner reorganization and success. So this one here is telling me to slow down, to go within, and that there will be success in doing that. The beautiful unknown beckons as I summon my brave and trusting heart. My soul dances towards a stunning sacred destiny. So this here is obviously beautiful. To me, it shows like a spiral of dances. I feel a lot of movement in this, which is great. The unexpected is a secret grace that enhances my soul, awakens and nourishes my divine potential. So I really like the mandala that comes with this, because to me it's like it's pulsating. The colours just seem to be pulsating, and there's a lot of expectancy and a lot of awakening there. The colour yellow just really brings a glow to my heart. And the last one, I tune to faithfully listen for the authentic, empowered, creative voice of my soul, guiding me flawlessly on my life journey. So this to me feels very, when I look at it, I feel like I'm pulled within. It feels like as I keep going around all the different ribbons here, that I keep getting pulled back in, that I am listening to the voice of my soul, and that it is a beautiful journey that's continuous, going in for reflection and coming back out again. So the next ones I have is the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. I did tell you I had quite a few by Doreen. These ones I've had for a lot of years. I do use them, but not as regularly as the other Doreen Virtue decks that I have. So here we'll just have a look at a few of these. So obviously time poor. Cordelia, go outside. You have been indoors too long. Go outside and get some fresh air. Simple how you could incorporate that into your day if that was the card that you pulled. Mawu, Mother Earth, you are called upon to help with environmentalism. If I got that, I would be looking at ways that I could do things within my day that were good for environmentalism. So I might be more mindful of things, of how I'm recycling things, the kind of things that I'm using to organise my lunch and that kind of thing. Making sure that I was using recyclable containers, making sure that my plastics and my cardboards are separated, and that I'm making sure that I'm not using a lot of water, and all the things that you can do to help with the environment. Artemis Guardian, you and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. I think that's a really good message, and if I was pulling it for the day and I got that, it would make me feel quite calm and collected. Vast, independent, your independence is a foundation for your strength and success. That would tell me that I could rely on myself throughout the day, and that I would be able to draw the strength I needed, and I would be successful in my undertakings. Ostara, fertility. It's the perfect time for you to start new projects, assess new ideas, and give birth to new conditions. I think this is really great. It's telling me that it's time to start those new projects. So if I was thinking about starting a new project or looking into something new, it would definitely confirm that that was the time. Nematona, sacred space, create an altar or visit a power place to connect with the divine. If I got this, then I would be making sure that I took the time to actually acknowledge my altar on the way out. So sometimes when you're time poor, you don't do that, but I would definitely take that moment to acknowledge my altar, to give thanks for everything that is there for me. Sage, quiet time. Take some quiet time alone to rest, meditate and contemplate. And I think that that's a really good reminder and something you could easily put into your day. So I think one of the reasons why all of these decks work really well for me personally, they may not work in the same way for you, but they definitely do for me, is the fact that to me the messages are very easy to understand, as I've said before, and they're very, very clear. And they can be interpreted in exactly the way that you interpret them yourself when you see them. So the next one we will look at is Soul Coaching Oracle Cards by Denise Lynn. So these are more simpler cards. They have a small phrase and a word. So we'll just have a look at a few of these. Communication. I communicate from my heart and love surrounds and protects me. I think it's a really great message that you could easily take in a time poor environment that would definitely set you up for your day. Opening. I'm open to receiving the gifts of the universe. Definitely would tell me to be aware of what's happening and to be open to the things that I wouldn't necessarily notice or to see. Silence. I am serene no matter what is occurring around me. A great reminder to, be in the moment. voyage. I am safe and loved no matter where I am. I really like that one. It's telling me that no matter where I'm traveling, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always going to be safe and loved. Courage. I live life passionately and courageously. She's beating to her own drum, which I absolutely love. Delight. I delight in everything in my world, and divine joy fills me. So I think that's a really lovely messages. These are really simple, really really positive, really engaging, I think, and really easy to understand. Focus. All of my thoughts are directed towards my highest good. So again, really simple messages, but so easy to be able to take them and move forward within your day. And it gives you the opportunity to have, you know, well, it gives me the opportunity to be able to maintain my ritual of using the oracle cards and tarot cards in my day, and making sure that I set myself up for success, which is what I love to use these cards for. So the next ones that we will look at is Healing with the Angel Oracle cards, again by Doreen Virtue. I did say I had quite a few of hers. These are beautiful cards, simple messages. Retreat definitely tells me that I need to probably step back from whatever it is that I'm doing, and if I was at work, it might mean that I step back from putting my hand up to do something if the boss was looking for someone to do something. Or retreat might mean that I actually physically look at my life and go, you know what, I think I need to have a mental health day and stay home. Balance is definitely about making sure that I am aware of what's going on and that I'm keeping a balance. So again, if it was work related, it might be, you know, am I managing my work-life balance well? Am I managing my commitments between my family and my husband and my children? I'll be looking at different aspects of my life and saying, you know, how does this fit in for what I need to know today? Focus, a really great card to remind you to focus on what's in front of you, to focus on what's important to you, to focus on what needs to be focused on. So obviously if this come up for me, I would go with the flow of what I thought of first. So if I seen focus and it was like, okay, I really need to be aware of what's going on, or okay, I need to pull myself together and I need to focus on what's important, that would be the way that I would interpret it. Romance, I think, is really lovely. Again, it would be, if this card came up for me, it would be all around what's happening in my life. Do I need to add romance? Is there too much romance? Is there emphasis on having romance too much? What is it about romance that I need? What is it about romance that I love? What is it that I don't like? Is there too much pressure? That kind of thing. Healing. So this would have me looking at what aspects of my life need to be healed, whether I can offer healing to somebody else, whether I need healing myself, whether there's an aspect of my life that's, you know, within the transitional period of healing. That would be what that would be making me look at. And trust. Where are the aspects in my life in that day or that week that I was pulling the card for? What areas do I need to trust in? What areas do I lack trust in? Is trust something that I value? Is trust something that I give away easily, or is it something that I close down? So I would be looking at the way trust was being used or showing up in my life. I have the little box of mindfulness, 52 beautiful cards to help you live in the moment. Now these technically are not oracle cards and they're definitely not tarot cards, but these are cards that I use when I'm time poor. I really like them. I do practice mindfulness and I am certified in mindfulness, so it's something that I really enjoy. So I would just pull a card and it would say, never be afraid to sit a while and think. And that would just give me something to be mindful of during the day. So if I feel that I need to really be in the present and slow down, it might be a deck that I would choose to use for my daily card reading, and that would definitely give me the message I needed to go. Why not just live in the moment, especially if it has a good beat? Again, live life for the moment because everything else is uncertain. Come home to the present. The ordinary can be extraordinary. And nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. So these are really just great cards for me to bring me back to my awareness of, you know, the here and now is the only thing that actually is. The past is gone and the present hasn't even turned up. So these cards are really great to keep me really rooted in where I am right now. The next deck that I have is the Spirit Warrior. Now this is an interesting deck. They call it oracle cards, but it's Embrace ancient ways to discover your power. Now, I find these are really interesting cards, and I do use them when I'm time poor, but I'm still got the jury out as to whether I really like them or whether I really don't. But I've put them here today because they are cards that I use when I am time poor. So they have writing on one side, and then they have an image on the other. So again, they're the kind of deck that I close my eyes with, because you can impact the card that you get if you're looking. So I usually close my eyes when I shuffle them, and then I would pull out a card. And this one says on the front here, simple, sacred, salty. And when you turn it over, it says salt. Harness the purifying manifesting energies of this simple compound. Salt is sacred. It has traditionally been used in healing rituals, ceremonies, and protective spells to release negative energies. You can use it in the home as a purifying agent. Simply sprinkle salt crystals on the floor and brush them away for a quick refresh. To cleanse the body, use rock salt as a body scrub after a bath. This will release existing negativity and protect you from it in the future. When salt is paired with water, it combines to create a spiritual superpower. Take a salt bath as part of your regular spiritual cleansing and feel refreshed, positive, and present. So if I was to get this, it would tell me that my energy needs to be, that I need to remove the negative energies that might be in my life. And this is obviously a beautiful way to do it. So I would be looking at how I could incorporate that into my life. I do not have a bath in my house. We only have showers. So I would be having a salt shower, which is just as effective. So the other one that we have here, your capacity for joy is infinite. And when you turn it over, angel number 8, number sequences known as angel numbers may be signs from the universe. According to numerology, every number is connected to a vibrational energy that encompasses meaning. If you keep on seeing sequences of numbers 8, then it's likely that you're on track with your goals in life in general. It doesn't get much better. You are going with the flow of what your angels have in store for you. The number 8 is also a sign of infinity. Take this as an infinite love, confidence, compassion, money, and other abundance you desire. And it is also a symbol of karma. Take time to be grateful for how far you've come and consider how you can give back to others less fortunate than you. So this, if I was to get this card, it would make me to be more aware of repetitive numbers that are coming up, and to be able to work with that throughout the day, and to be more grateful and compassionate with my dealings. So obviously these cards are a lot more thought-provoking. They've got little rituals and things that you can use with them. They've got things to make you aware of, and they're beautiful. They are something that I do use when I am time poor, and that's when I'm time poor of a morning. So when I'm pulling my card, I will use them because I'm time poor and the messages are quite easy to understand, and they're all delivered via the card. This deck does not have a guidebook, so you get everything you need by the card. So I use them when I'm time poor, but I also make sure that at the other end of the day, I will have time to potentially incorporate some of the things that they say, like the salt bath and that kind of thing. So the next deck that I have, we're getting down to the end, guys. The next deck that I have is the Self-Love Oracle by Janet Shu. I really love this deck. It is really beautiful. So again, this is a self-love deck. It's really great. It has beautiful soulful messages. We'll just go through some of them and explain why I think they're great when you're time poor. Again, they have a message. This one says, remove toxicity. We are only treated as badly as we allow ourselves to be. Pay attention to your physical and emotional health and reduce your toxic burdens. A really great message, really clear cut, that if you were to pull this card, you know, you would get the message straight away and you could run with it. Right, having an outlet to express one's thoughts leads to more clarity and awareness of oneself. Put pencil to paper, explore your inner world. So really clear, again, message that can be actionable. Set boundaries, hold and honor your own physical. The next one, boundaries, hold and honor your own physical and emotional space. Only you can do this effectively. Respect your feelings and allow others theirs. So obviously if you were getting these cards, they're really clear messages. They're really easy to understand. You don't really need anything else to be able to incorporate them into your day or your week, which is why I love using them when I don't have a lot of time to sit down and nut out what the cards are trying to tell me. Embrace sensitivity. Appreciating beauty requires sensitivity, a vulnerable feeling, yet the world needs more sensitivity, not less. Embrace it. Do not deny your emotional needs. So we've got more and more of these cards. Share light, share your trials as well as your triumphs. Your stories benefit you in the telling and others in the hearing. Spreading the light of transformation. So about using your voice. Change your environment. Our environment supports or undermines us. Give more attention to where you live, work, rest and play. Create surroundings that support you. So really, this could be a really timely reminder to look at, where you're going and what environments you're putting yourself in, and whether you need to change things so that they actually support you rather than hinder you. And spend time alone. All decisions must be made by yourself. Give yourself the time and space to seek the answers within rather than without. A really great message that you could receive, to be able to say, look within. You have everything that you need. You know everything that you need to know. It's just about tapping into it and trusting your own intuition. So the next ones I have is the Akmal Pritam Let Go cards. Now these are really simple cards, and yet they're not. I really love them. So they're about letting go. So when I'm feeling tied down or restricted, I will use these cards. They have beautiful different images on one side and they have a message on the other. Obviously, when I use them, they get mixed up, and I do not put them all back the one way. Normally, again, because they're two-sided, I close my eyes and then I will just pull out a card and I will look at the image and see what it brings up for me, and then I will read the message. So make real progress by pushing aside perfection and never looking back. So this is showing me that, there is a way forward, that the ebb and flow of the ocean is like the ebb and flow of life. It comes in and out, and you just got to, keep going. So this next one, pay close attention to your patterns and let go of those that are merely reactions to life. I think this is a really good reminder for all of us. There are times where, we're not aware of the energy and the patterns that we're repeating within our lives, and that it is really good to be able to let go of those at times. Here we have meditate to dispel all fears and become a beautiful, enchanting, magnetic person. So it's telling us the power of meditation and how we can use that to let go. Lie in the sun and feel warmth in your heart. What does a goddess of the sun ask for you? So this is a really good way for you to let go of your expectations. It's just to go out, lie in the sun, and really listen and take in what it is that you're picking up. Your glass is always refillable. Flow like water instead of holding on to perceptions. A really great one for letting go. Definitely reminding you that, and the picture is beautiful too, that you're in water and it's surrounding you and it's forever moving and it's forever fluid, and that you can't hold on to it. And if you do, you're going to, restrict it and the water will become stagnant. So your glass is always refillable. Flow like water instead of holding on to perceptions. And the last one that I have here is a river of love flows through you when you let go. So the image over here is very beautiful. You can see that the water is flowing around her. So a river of love flows through you when you let go. So again, that's about not having expectations. And when you let go, especially of love, or restriction of love, when you let go, you find that everything flows. Everything flows so much better. So I really like these for the messages that they give. Now, the last two decks that I've got to show you are decks by Jenny Han and Jessica Richetti. This is the Wisdom of the Shadow Oracle for self-discovery, soul work, and transformation. Now, we will come back to these when I look at one of the other areas that I use my cards in, but I really love these cards. They have this dark, soulful, reflective feel to them, which really draws me in, and I really like it. They're just beautiful. The energy is incredible. When I turn them over, the artistry is just absolutely incredible. So this is a deck that I would use if I'm looking, I would use it as a time pour deck when I really want to know what's holding me back, or what my limitation is, or what area I can work on in a particular day when I feel that I have enough strength and vitality to be able to look at some of the darker sides of myself, and I want to deal with that. So here we have rage. So that would remind me that, you know, everybody has rage, that it's natural to feel rage, but I need to find a way to be able to let it out without affecting the world around me in a negative way. If I was to get truth, this would be about making sure that the messages that I'm giving or receiving are ones that are truthful, ones that are making sense, and that they're really soul given, and they really stem from a need to be able to be not only truthful but authentic to who I am, and authentic to the way that I want to live and interact with people. Victory. This is telling me that against all obstacles and whatever may be pulling against me, that there is a way forward, and that I can be victorious in whatever it is I'm trying to achieve, or in whatever it is that I'm thinking or doing or being. This one here is intrusion. This is telling me that it doesn't matter what's going on in my life, there's always going to be intrusion. There's always going to be people pushing and pulling at you and you know, trying to get into your energy field and into your space. And it's about being mindful of that and finding ways that you can protect yourself from those intrusions so that you can actually live the best life. Identity. This to me is definitely signaling the fact that I need to be aware of the way that I portray myself to the world out there in any particular day or week, that I would pull this, that I need to be true to my identity, that I need to be aware of the face that I put out there, but I also need to be aware of the face that other people put out there, and how I interact with their identities, and how I respond to the way that they put themselves in the world. This one is wisdom. So this would have me looking within. It would be searching for my inner guidance, my intuition, making sure that I tap into all of that throughout my day. And the last one is opening. So this would be, if I was to get this as my daily card, as a time poor reading for me, opening would be about making sure that I understand that there is an opening there, that I need to be able to unlock it, that I need to be able to accept it. It may take me a little while to get there, as you can see the different layers through the human shape here. It might take me a little way to get there, and it might be further away than I would like, but there is an opening, and I need to be able to look for that so that I can walk through it. So these are really beautiful cards. I absolutely adore them. So the last deck I want to look at is the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. It is also a deck by Jenny Han and Jessica Ricchetti. And again, it's a really soulful deck. It's Oracle for Heart-Centered Embodiment and Wholeness. And it's absolutely beautiful. It has a really great in-depth book that when I'm using these cards in an environment where I have a lot of time, I definitely work with them in a very different way to the way I'm showing you now, which is when I use them when time is limited. So again, they have a very beautiful back. Love the colours of them. And the artistry on the front of this deck is a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more light and bright than the previous deck of the Wisdom of the Shadow. So here I'll just give you an idea of how I would use these cards if I was time poor. This to me, if I pulled this card in a single card reading when I didn't have a lot of time, but I still wanted to be able to get my daily guidance, grounding would definitely tell me that I needed to make sure that I use the process of grounding myself, that I'm grounded in the decisions and things that I make, that when I are working with people, that I make sure that I understand exactly where we're at, and that the decisions and the interactions are really solid and grounded in the way that I respond. Flow, this definitely tells me that whatever's happening in my day, I need to go with the flow. I need to be able to be in a space of ease and acknowledge that, you know, I don't have control over things. I never can have control over things, so there's no use worrying about them. I just need to let things flow in the way that the universe would like to deliver them. This one here is cycles. So this is reminding me that it doesn't matter what's going on in life. There are certain patterns and systems and cycles and things that need to occur. So if it was at work, for say, and it said cycles, it would remind me that there are certain policies, procedures, and things that have to be done in a particular way before something can be done, that we need to all follow. If it was at home, it would be the cycles of the day and how that day flowed for me, and how that might interact and be part of what I'm doing. Blossoming, this tells me that no matter what's happening, that there is a way for this to actually bloom and grow into something. So if I was looking at my day and I was going out to see somebody who I wanted to be romantically involved with, so I was going out on a date, then I would see that that could possibly blossom into something very beautiful. If I was starting a new project, then I would see that that would definitely be able to develop into something greater than it is. So it's about interpreting it in response to the day that you're having or the week ahead. Discernment, this would definitely tell me that I need to make wise choices. I need to stop and think about what I'm doing and how I'm judging things, obviously. Ease, this is telling me that it's like the flow card. It's telling me that I just need to go with the flow. I need to ease off on things. I don't need to be so hard about them. I may not need to be so dogmatic. I may not need to be so controlling. I just need to ease off a little so that things can begin to flow and things can move in the right direction, and we can have a better outcome. Nurture, this tells me that I need to take time for whatever it is that's happening. So if I was at home with my family, it might be that I need to nurture them more. My children, it might mean that I need to nurture myself more, that I need to take time out. If I'm very much put my children and my husband first, then I may need to nurture myself and take time out for that. It may mean if I'm at work and we're starting a new project that I actually need to put the time and effort in to be able to get it off the ground. Devotion, so this to me would tell me that whatever it is that I'm doing, I need to do it mindfully. I need to devote time to it. I need to devote my energy to it. I need to actually be mindful and present in whatever it is that I'm trying to do or achieve or be a part of. Fierceness, this can look a bit frightening. So fierceness to me is about stepping forward instead of being controlled by fear. It's about stepping through your fear, stepping beyond what it is that you're scared of, and stepping out of your comfort zone. And radiance tells me that I need to shine. So as somebody who doesn't like a lot of compliments and things, you may find that, you know, radiance to you means that you actually have to accept it. You might have done a great job at work. You might have organised something at your children's school. You might have done something really great within for a friend or within your family, and people want to actually celebrate that. So radiance to me is about letting yourself shine, letting yourself be seen, and actually acknowledging that you do have the right to shine and the ability to do that. So that would be how I would potentially read that. So there you have it, guys. 29 decks. They are all oracle decks. 29 decks that I use when I am time poor. I obviously don't use them all, but I do use different ones at different times. I get different messages from different ones, and depending on how I'm feeling and which one I'm pulled to or gravitate towards is the deck that I would use. I hope that's given you some kind of idea on some of the decks that I have and how I use them when I don't have a lot of time, so that I can still do my daily card readings and I can still get a lot out of what it is that I'm about and what I'm doing. It really is something that I don't like missing, so I love being able to pull them. So some of these decks you will see in the future when I talk about the cards that I journal with and that I use for readings and meditation and my altar and shadow work and that kind of thing. You will see some of these decks again, but hopefully when I explain them, I will explain them in a different way. That's my goal, and I'm hoping that I'll follow through with that so that you can actually see why I use them for those particular practices or how I do. So thank you very much. If you managed to get to the end, I truly appreciate the energy that you have given and the time that you have set aside for this. I hope you found some value in what it is that I've shared today, and I really would love for you to be able to let me know if you have. If you've got this far, please send me a smile emoji down in the comments. I would love to know how many people actually got to the end. If you had a favorite deck, or if you own one of the decks that I've shown, please let me know. I'd love to know. And if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. I don't profess to know everything. I can only explain to you and talk about things from my own experience and the way that I've experience things and use things in my own life, but I'm more than happy to be able to do that and to share that experience with you. So please, guys, really appreciate everything that you've done, appreciate you turning up, and have a great day.